There is a specific satisfaction that only comes from working with physical materials. You feel the texture and weight in your hands, the resistance of the object, and a slow, deliberate pace that demands your attention. Compare that resistance to the reality of our digital routines. We spend our days swiping, clicking, and rapidly switching between browser tabs in a frictionless environment. After 10 hours of sending emails and updating spreadsheets, it is common to log off feeling strangely empty. You've worked all day, yet there is absolutely no physical proof of your effort to hold in your hands. Physical craft offers an immediate psychological shift. When you press into wet clay or run a hand plane over rough wood, the material pushes back. You cannot divide your attention, or the seam won't close and the wood will splinter. Neurologists call this procedural memory. The noisy, anxious part of your prefrontal cortex takes a back seat, and knowledge transfers directly into the muscles and tendons of your hands. The act of making becomes the thinking. We began losing this physical connection to our work during the Industrial Revolution. As heavy machinery filled large factories, human labor was mechanized for the sake of speed and efficiency. Observers at the time noticed the psychological toll of this transition. Thinkers like John Ruskin argued that separating human hands from the act of creation stripped away the inherent dignity of the work itself. Today, the math is clear. We do not need to knit our own sweaters or build our own tables to survive. We choose to make things by hand, because engaging with the physical world provides a profound form of mental rest in a highly fragmented era. Behavioral scientists have a term for our deep attachment to things we build, the IKEA effect. It proves that people assign a disproportionately high value to an object if they assembled it themselves. The frustrating labor of tightening screws or measuring cuts actively changes our relationship to the item. The physical effort poured into the raw materials transforms the final product into something intensely personal. Traditional guilds understood this dynamic implicitly. Craftsmen working shoulder to shoulder at wooden benches nurtured a direct, visible connection between manual labor and the finished piece. For a modern maker, that connection remains entirely intact. You can watch your own skill accumulate, hour by hour, slowly taking shape as a physical artifact. The physical object succeeds as a vessel. It absorbs and permanently holds the specific energy, time, and focus you chose to invest. An automated factory arm can stamp out thousands of perfectly smooth, perfectly symmetrical objects in a fraction of a second. The manufacturing is flawless and incredibly efficient. However, the machine has no relationship with the thing it makes. It forgets the object the instant it leaves the belt. A handmade object looks distinct. The glaze might pool heavily on one side of a bowl. A hand-sewn seam might wander, or a wooden chair might wobble. These physical imperfections are not mistakes to be corrected. They are permanent evidence of human presence. They show exactly where a thumb pressed too hard, or where attention wavered a split second. This celebration scaled up to entire homes. The American craftsman movement reacted against mass-produced housing by showcasing robust, natural materials that highlighted the builder's labor. We do not value handmade goods in spite of their flaws. We value them because those tiny irregularities serve as an undeniable historical record of a real person's attention. This value transfers completely to the person who eventually holds the object. Researchers call this creator salience, the heightened awareness that a distinct human being intentionally transformed raw materials into the item in your hands. This chart measures emotional resonance in consumers. The data confirms that knowing an identifiable human created a product significantly spikes emotional attachment. You can see this effect is highly concentrated on the right for hedonic, or decorative products, compared to flatter results for functional items. Look at this advertisement for a side table made of old skateboards. Simply reading the description of the maker's specific physical process of collecting and transforming the wood elevates an ordinary piece of furniture into an emotionally resonant piece of art. When bringing a handmade object into our homes, we tap into a quiet sense of connection. Factory lines offer massive scale and speed, but they cannot manufacture a human story. The mathematical reality of the modern economy is it does not need you to make anything. A robot can weld a cleaner seam, and an algorithm generates a flawless design in seconds. Pottery studios have massive wait lists. Millions spend weekends baking bread or restoring old furniture. This explosive revival in manual craft proves our urge to create transcends economics or utility. In an ephemeral, digital environment, working with a material that pushes back forces us to stop, focus, and exist entirely in the present moment. Long after the afternoon passes, the artifact remains. We don't make things simply because we need more objects. A handmade bowl, with its slightly uneven rim and pooled glaze, is a quiet, beautiful piece of proof that we were here and that we cared.